So, what are you up to?
Oh hey, I'm just playing Bug Fables.
Oh, so it's like the new Paper Mario game on the old new Nintendo PC, right?
This is not Paper Mario. What are you talking about? Does this look anything like Paper Mario to you?
You know I'm a fire extinguisher, right? But they call me the life extinguisher.
Just a fair warning, I will be going over Chapter 1 so people will get the general idea of the plot. Don't worry, I won't go into major spoilers because this game is newer. Paper Mario has an identity. It's, paper. Bug Fables has an identity, right? Is it bugs? Possibly, but it screams Paper Mario more than insects. Now is this a good or bad thing? I guess it would depend on your outlook and what you're expecting from Bug Fables. I wouldn't be making a recommendation video if I disliked this game. In fact, I love it so much that it hurts to see them not form their own identity. This game feels so safe that it's crazy to think about what they could have done if they explored the bug theme just a little more. Instead, I am here comparing how almost everything is Paper Mario, from the similar art style, same combat system, same medal system, even the menu layout, and the freaking walk-offs are almost a carbon copy. Why are the walk-offs based off cardboard? It would make sense in Paper Mario since the game was paper themed, but here it just feels weird. They could have used leaves or something. Paper Mario does things with its theme of paper. It makes mechanics, jokes, and plot elements out of it. While Bug Fables does this to a degree, it doesn't explore the possibility fully. They could have added some extra spice to little things that remind you, hey, this is Bug Fables and not Paper Mario. As a game though, I will say it's fantastic. It's just weird that this is a case where I can say, oh, you like Paper Mario? Well, try Bug Fables, because at some points this game just feels like Paper Mario but with bugs. Anyways, moving on to everything else. Bug Fables was created by Moonsprout Games, and at the time of this video, it's only on PC. You can get it on Steam or DRM free via Humble Store or itch.io. There are also plans for it to be ported on the Switch and PS4 in the future. The game begins by explaining how the everlasting sapling is a plant that could supposedly grant immortality. After the brief storybook intro, we start off with a ninja-looking beetle called Kabu. Kabu really wants to go out on an adventure in the land of Bugaria. Unfortunately, the Ant Kingdom requires bugs to adventure in pairs to keep each other safe. Shortly after, we get to meet Vi, or V, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But she's a bee that left the Bee Kingdom in pursuit of her own adventure. Vi begrudgingly makes a team with Kabu out of him literally being the only choice, and you get to learn about their differences. Vi is more of a free spirit, morally gray, stubborn bee, whereas Kabu is polite, kind, and sort of a people pleaser. They both agree to go to Snakemouth Den to retrieve an artifact for the Ant Queen. The dialogue is littered with little jokes and self-awareness, like how Vi questions why she would partner with Kabu for a dangerous mission when they just met, or how Vi points out how easy the combat system is. Immediately before you even step outside, you also get a hard mode badge. I mean medal, they're called medals here, right? The hard mode medal makes the game more difficult in return for bonus rewards after beating bosses and more achievements. I enabled this immediately and played through the whole game in it. The game was quite challenging at points. Enemies don't respawn and you can't overlevel your characters. Enemies deal a decent amount of damage if you can't time a block or perfect block, and if you mess up the action sequence, you're actually going to regret it. As you begin your voyage to Snakemouth Den, you're introduced to some abilities you can use on the field, like Kabu's cut and Vi's boomerang throw. Kabu's ability can be used to move things like heavy objects, similar to how strength is used in Pokemon, or it could be used to cut grass and shrubs, kinda like how cut is used in Pokemon. Vi's boomerang is straight up Cooper and Koops' shell toss abilities in the Paper Mario games. It will retrieve items for you and hit faraway objects. Both abilities can be used on enemies in the overworld so you can get a head start in battle, and some abilities get upgrades later, such as how Vi's boomerang will be able to be held in place for more complex mechanics like spinning a lever. Once you reach the den, you finally meet the third and final party member, Leaf. After fending off a massive spider, you untie Leaf from its webs. Leaf is a moth with a foggy memory and references themselves as we for whatever reason that you may or may not find out later in the story. Turns out Leaf shouldn't be alive since their memories were from ages ago. Kabu doesn't understand how it's possible, and Vi just doesn't really believe them. They decide to join Kabu and Vi so they can try and make sense of why they are in the future. Leaf is a mage and can control ice. As expected, Leaf's overworld ability is to freeze things. This brings me to one of my favorite parts of the game, the not-so-obvious puzzles. This is one of the things that differentiates Bug Fables from the original 2 Paper Mario games. Puzzles in Paper Mario tend to be straightforward and relevant to the most current party member or ability. Obviously, towards the end of the game, it's not that easy. However, in Bug Fables, they sort of mouth feed you a couple of worms and then kick you out of the tree expecting you to put 2 and 2 together. For instance, you might notice dripping water from the ceiling. So you would freeze the drip into a block, and after that you might want to move the block of ice with Kabu's horn. Then you're going to want to hop on that ice block to get some leverage for a secret item in the corner that you can't get without Vi's boomerang. While sometimes it can come across as tedious, it adds charm and character to the game and rewards creative thinking with cool items and secrets. One of my favorite instances of thinking, dang, that's genius, was when I had to cross some thorns. Couldn't find any water to freeze, any switches to flip, or any rocks to make a path with. But there was a flying enemy pacing back and forth in the river. At first I thought the enemy was there to be an encounter. I mean, every enemy in the game up to this point was put there to be an encounter, so why would now be any different? Well, you dumb idiot, it is different. You have to freeze the flying idiot so your idiot self can cross the thorns. Once I found that out, I felt like I deserved a Nobel Peace Prize for not killing my enemy but literally using them as a stepping stone and leaving them to die by themselves in a frozen ice block. After making your way through Snakemouth Den, you're greeted with that spider you fended off earlier, but this time as an actual boss fight for real. Also, he's kinda angry. As a first boss, it's a wonderful challenge for hard mode. It really prepares you for the challenge of these boss fights, as you must learn and adapt to these enemies' attacks so you can block them. Another thing you will learn is that each of the 3 party members fill a very archetypal RPG class. Kabu is your tank. He is there to absorb all the damage and deal some heavy physical blows. He is equipped with moves like a taunt and a revival, so you really need to keep him alive if you don't want the other 2 to quickly be obliterated. Vi is your thief and or ranger. She can hit flying enemies easily with a boomerang and has some tricks up her sleeve like a few multi-hit special moves and a heal. Leaf fulfills the role of a mage and is very useful in situations where there are multiple enemies, as they can freeze one for a couple of turns while you deal with the other enemies. With hard mode, this game really forces you to actually think for once in your life, rather than just spamming the same moves over and over again until your enemy is dead, like in many cases of Paper Mario and Paper Mario the Thousand-Year Door. Once you finish the spider off, you grab the artifact and you make your way back to the Ant Kingdom so you can hand it off to Elizant II. All the townspeople are shocked that Vi and Kabu made it back alive, let alone actually get the artifact. Once you make it to the throne, Elizant II introduces herself, and Leaf gets even more confused, because Elizant I was the queen while they were gone. The current queen claims the artifact and hastily gets all the adventurers to start searching for the next one. She rewards Vi and Kabu with a bunch of berries, which is this game's currency, and the honor of having 3 party members, which is rare since most adventurer parties in this game are only allowed 2. So, Leaf could continue their adventure with the other 2. After they leave the throne room to continue on to the next area, Leaf mentions how he doesn't trust Elizant II, as if she were hiding something. Vi doesn't care since she got a nice pay, and Kabu trusts everyone, so neither really bat an eye. And that concludes Chapter 1. I won't be covering the other 6 chapters, as there's a lot of story going on, and that's pretty important to RPGs, so it'd be nice to keep it fresh for whenever someone wants to play through it. What I will say, it's your standard RPG fare, and it will satiate your story needs. In terms of length, with all 7 chapters complete and some or all side quests based on how fast you go through, you'll get around 20 hours of playtime, I would say. The music, on the other hand, is something that really sticks out compared to the story. I'm not sure what it is with indie RPGs like Lisa the Painful and Undertale with having killer soundtracks, but Bug Fables is no exception. The OST is by Tristan Ulrich, and they did a really good job capturing the essence of Paper Mario, but kept it unique to where you know you're listening to something fresh and exciting. At one point in the game, I had to fight a couple of wasps, and the wasp battle theme was so good that I just had to sit there and appreciate it for a bit. The soundtrack is full of whimsy jingles as well as groovy battle themes. There's plenty of environments for you to explore throughout the whole game. They're very bright and colorful for the most part. This brings us to the art style. It's pretty unique while also being very familiar. Some parts of the game gave me the impression that they were hand-drawn. Other parts look like they were Nintendo 64 era 3D graphics. It's a very interesting art direction that you don't see too often. It kind of reminds me of Rakuga Kids on the Nintendo 64 in that regard. So taking everything into account that I love about this game, it's fantastic. Most of my gripes come from all the things they felt like they had to take from Paper Mario despite the potential that could have been for something new and unique. The reason that it hurts so much is that you're giving me all the more reason to recommend the first 2 Paper Mario games over Bug Fables for anyone looking into RPGs like this. The things Bug Fables does differently than Paper Mario really sets it apart and makes it an experience that is exclusive to this game. There is a lot to love, but the new things it brings to the table require a little more digging. Other times you're like, yeah, so it's basically Paper Mario but with bugs.